Intrusive thoughts are something that I deal with a lot. The longer I go abstaining from synthetic drugs, I start to remember things that I forgot in my life that's traumatic. These are not things that I want to remember, but there are things like, for example, situations where one of my children maybe got hurt because I wasn't present-minded because I was under the influence. When these thoughts of painful situations that I have repressed pop up, they're very challenging to deal with. Shadow work is consciously digging into these repressed issues and working on them. That's what it means. We don't need to use buzzwords because it can be overwhelming with the preconceived notions that people have with certain words. It's easier to just make things simple. Shadow work has been immensely helpful with me, and how I do shadow work is observing patterns of behavior and observing patterns of my thoughts is how I begin to do shadow work. When I have identified harmful patterns of thinking and harmful behaviors, that's when I start to figure out how to combat those and change the behaviors, change the thought patterns. And I use all types of techniques, things that I've learned from therapy, things that I've read about. I gain information everywhere possible and then apply them to my own life so that I can evolve. On this path to healing, we have things like intrusive thoughts that will come randomly when you're in the shower, having a great day, when you're driving down the street, when you're in the middle of a conversation with someone, when you're cooking. And before I would run away from them. It all started with realizing that I was too into media. And then when I broke down, why are you spending so much time watching YouTube instead of making art? I realized I was avoiding dealing with my deepest issues. Well, why? Obviously because it's painful. Like, why would you volunteer for pain? Well, because once you acknowledge those feelings, they go away. That's how I deal with intrusive thoughts. I'll give you an example. I was in the shower the other day and I had a thought about my baby son crying for my attention, and I was under the influence and I didn't respond soon enough, and I remember seeing the pain in his eyes of being hurt by that. So instead of me running off to some distraction, in that moment while I was in the memory, I apologized to him. And then it went away. So that's when I realized that these memories, these energies, these past experiences want to be acknowledged. And then they'll leave. I guess it's kind of like a haunted space, from souls that are not at rest. When their lives have been snatched too soon. They want their killers to be brought to justice, stuff like that. Like, to be reckoned with, to reckon with the past, to reconcile with the past is what helps me when I have intrusive thoughts. This is the only thing that has ever helped me, and I've been trying to eradicate them. And honestly, you're talking about, see, I'm 42. My earliest trauma that I can remember is 8, but think about it, I was given up for adoption. The earliest records they have of me is of me at 6 months. That's allegedly when I was adopted. So my body has been experiencing trauma since a very early age, since birth. So imagine the effect that has on one's psyche. So that's a lifetime of work. That's a lifetime of repressed memories that are popping up now that you have to deal with. So eradication, no, probably not. But management, absolutely doable. When I get intrusive thoughts, I acknowledge the memory, I acknowledge the thought, and then I release it. Me submitting has been a huge part of my healing process. Acceptance. Not so much, well, yeah, it is. I'm submitting because I don't want to fight my nature. I'd rather accept my nature and work with it than try to change aspects of myself that are ingrained in me, I love you. Thank you so much for spending time with me at Fury World. I will see you in the next video.